Hi, you're watching Dog Ear Musings. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the second time filming this video. The first time I filmed this video, we lost all sound. So let's hope the sound works in this recording. Otherwise, it's a sign that 2023 didn't happen. And we gotta start all over again. This feels like actual New Year's because I'm recording this right before a New Year's Eve shindig. So hopefully this will make me feel a little bit more in the mood to reflect on all the stuff in the books that I read last year. As a prerequisite, I'm going to be talking about my faves and my not faves. So if my faves or not faves were different or indirect opposite to yours, this isn't any means to start any beef because we hate the drama here. Although if it's you, you know who you are, and I am ready to start beef with you. Now that we've started that, also, do not judge or base or compare the amount of books that I've read to your books that you've read. We're all different and we're all readers here. There's a reason why we still watch BookTube, even though there's a whole score of other videos we could watch on this wide and vast algorithm. So yeah, be kind. Let's get started. How many books did I read this year? I read 115 books this year, which is a little bit less than the amount that I read last year. I forgot how many. I don't think I said because I didn't want to make it public. But yeah, 115. That is a lot of books. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what was my fave and what was my least fave and why. And I know I'm looking off of the camera. I'm sorry, I'll work on that. So let's start with the gossip. What was the biggest disappointment of the year? So I'm gonna get a lot of hate in the comments for saying this, but the biggest disappointment of the year for me was Donna Tartt's A Secret History. I think the reason why this was the biggest disappointment of my year was I've just heard so much, I've heard so much hype about this book, and I think I'm all for a mess. I'm all for messy characters. I'm all for messy plot. For me, when I was reading this book, I felt like this book was all of the mess, but none of the excitement. It just felt like that moment after you get in a fender bender and your heart is racing, but you're stuck on the side of the road for hours waiting for a tow truck to come get you. That's how I felt reading that book. What was the biggest surprise? So there were a couple of books that I read this year that I knew I was going to like, but didn't realize I was going to like them as much as I did. And here are the three of them. The first one was The Rachel Incident, which was recommended to me by Ivana. I knew I was going to like it because most of the books, or all of the books that Ivana recommends to me, I usually really, really like. For whatever reason, I left reading The Rachel Incident like I had met a couple of new friends and I didn't want the book to end. And I feel like that is a feeling that is far and few between reading, and it was a feeling that I was really, really excited to have. Because I remember having that feeling when I was a young reader, and I think that there are a couple of wishes that I have for my 2024 reading year that I'll get into later, but having that excitement of not wanting the book to end is a goal and a dream that I hope for more reads for next year. Another book that I was really surprised to love as much as I did was the book Brutes. Now, I did a review of this book earlier this summer. I believe it was sometime in May or June. This book came at a really fun and interesting intersection of my life. I read this book during a vacation, the same place where the book took place, and I think that's why I resonated with the book so much. It was just a type of place that just hit so strong. And it was a very, really haunting story that really stuck with me. and I'm really excited for any new book that this author decides to put out. Another book that I was surprised hit me as hard as it did was the Neapolitan Quartet, which I ended up starting and finishing this year, by Elena Ferrante. Now, I had started this book and I DNF'd it the year before. Now, I thought that I didn't like My Brilliant Friend. I had listened to it on the treadmill at 2 times speed. Alfonso's brother, Stefano, who was the oldest son of Don Achille, came to school and swore. Which I feel like is a hard time to enjoy any kind of book. And so it was really hard to get sucked into the story. So I ended up just DNFing it because I thought it was really just hard to follow. Now, I had heard so many amazing opinions and reviews from booktubers and bookstagrammers who I really connected with their reviews of other works. So I thought that I probably should give the Neapolitan Quartet another go. And I think for me, the physical copy was what really ended up sealing the deal and really just suckering me into the series. I read it in tandem with watching the show, which again just elevated the experience. And I feel like it's a series that I will keep coming back to, just in the amazingness of the writing that Ferrante does, as well as just the really cool mystery of who Ferrante is as a person, just the amazing gossip and messiness and excitingness that is the Neapolitan Quartet, as well as the deep exploration of friendship and not friendship and the world that Ferrante creates. And I think that this is just a reason why sometimes books can sometimes be the right book just at the wrong time. Sometimes it's okay to give a book a second chance. So what were my favorite book memories of 2023? Now those, again, similar to last year, go out to all of the buddy reads that I did this year. So much of why I love BookTube is the social aspects that this channel provides for reading, which is a very solitary avenue. And I'm excited for all of the buddy reads that I'll get to do in 2024 and new ways that I will try to make reading more social, however that might be. So my goals for last year, and did I meet them? So one of my goals for last year was kind of reducing the quantity of the books that I read and more expanding on the quality of the books that I read. So I did that. I think I reduced the books that I read just by a little bit. And how I did that was really focusing on reading mostly one book at a time. I think that the solo reading aspect really helped improve the quality of what I was reading, really increased my focus, and helped it feel less like I was competing against nobody else but myself. Another thing that really helped was taking my reading goals off of Goodreads. For me personally, I kind of had an unhealthy Scorpio competition with myself on the Goodreads app.
You can't defeat me.
And taking that goal off really helped me just purely enjoy my reads, or kind of figure out when I needed to end a reading experience when felt right for me, as opposed to setting arbitrary goals. And also, I just really liked kind of privatizing my reading experience and kind of figuring out when I wanted to make public what I was reading when I was reading it. Another goal that I had was to read more within community. I really felt like I was able to do further this year. The buddy reads and getting to meet people in real life and going on all sorts of really fun adventures. I'm really excited for what is to come next year, which brings me to what are the goals that I have in my reading for next year. I think what I really am excited to do and build on for next year is that idea of reading as experiential. I think for a while growing up, reading provided me with a sense of comfort. And I think reading still does, and I think that that is something beautiful. But what I really loved from my year last year was the ability that reading had in helping me get out of my comfort zone, and doing new adventures and seeing new things and meeting new people. And I mean, I moved across the country. I went on all sorts of awesome trips. I did a solo trip by myself, which was all something that if you had asked me last year if I would be sitting in the place that I'm sitting now, I would kind of laugh at you. And I mean, I feel like it's pretty reductive to say that was all based on reading. But I think that reading definitely played a part in helping me with making those choices and going outside of my comfort zone. I think there's also a bit of a privilege in doing that, but I think that what I'm excited for, again, is if I do have the opportunities to go on new adventures, to use literature as a lens of new experiences, as opposed to using it as a security blanket and feeling stuck, if that makes any sense. So now we're getting to the question that you guys were all waiting for, and you'll probably exit the video once you get my answer. So here it is. What was my favorite book of 2023? Now, it was the same two books that I had in my mid-year mark. This was the year of Elena Ferrante and James Baldwin, the year when I really got into both of these authors' works. Now, I know that these are not new authors, and it kind of feels just like, obviously, these are two just amazing people who created works and art. But this was the year that I was introduced to them and got to experience their works for the first time. And I think what makes me really excited about reading these authors that are pretty popular and well known is it is really exciting to meet people who have also really enjoyed their works, and there are a lot of them. And so getting to meet someone new who's read all of the Neapolitan Quartet and feels the same way that I feel about Nino Soratore. It feels like being in a club, and I am proud to be a member of the Ferrante and Baldwin Club as of 2023. So that's been my year in review of 2023, and I am so excited for what 2024 will bring. In the comments below, feel free to tell me what your favorite or not favorite book of the year was, and I'm really sorry if your favorite book was The Secret History. Hopefully we're still friends. This has been this year of Dog Year Musings. Tune in next week for next year. Happy reading.